Hi, y'all. It's Bridget Cutshaw with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is JJ Birden. He's a former NFL player. He is now a professional speaker and best-selling author and entrepreneur. Can you introduce yourself, JJ?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Bridget. It's good to be on the show today, and I'm excited to have an opportunity to just share some success tips with your audience today.
I appreciate it because you have really good experience. And I know when you mentioned before you're in the NFL, I know that's very difficult just to reach that level. Just sports in general is hard, but the NFL is like to me the I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but the top level.
Pinnacle.
Yeah, it is. It's and then you use your experiences from that to help you with your entrepreneurial uh, spec right now. Now, your book, you mentioned the best-selling author, is called Opportunity Knocks,
Mhm.
and that is. Can you just dive into that a little bit? What prompted you to write that?
Yeah, well, I always had a goal of being an author. I always wanted to write a book, and I had a lot of different ideas over the years. But as I started to speak more, teach more, train more, I realized that I was kind of in a rare breed, so to speak, from a professional athlete like you met. Very small, not a very successful college athlete. Then I go on to play 9 years in the
That's
NFL.
amazing.
But it was, yeah, I know it was about I seized my opportunities, and that's why I wanted to write that book, because it's about seizing your opportunities in life. Because I know many people have goals, they have dreams, they have things they want to achieve, and for whatever reason they don't pursue them. So the goal was to write a blueprint. Here's what it takes to seize
Ah,
the opportunities in life.
and I'm assuming you take that to your speaking opportunities as well, right?
Oh
Sharing
yeah.
that with everybody. It's just to a lot of people look up to athletes, right? And I've met a few along the way. Not very many NFL players though, right? And so that's just like I said. It's so like, woohoo! It's really cool, but it's grueling, and you stayed in there a long time, right? I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. The stats are pretty surprising when I tell people that, like high school football player has a 0.008% chance they'll go to the NFL.
Uh huh.
College player has a 1.6% chance to make it to the NFL. Then if you make it, the average NFL career is less than 2 years, while the average size NFL player is 6'2", 245.
Right.
So when I tell people that I played 9 years at 5'10", 157 pounds, it kind of blows them away, but at least gives me that credibility to speak on the topics I like to speak on.
Right. It's a great example of what you're doing, and it. Other people see that what you've done is quite an inspiration that they can get over those things, and there's an opportunity if you really want it. You have to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
And one of the things we were taught previously, you'd mentioned you have a system called Fasco. Can you explain what that is? Can you break it
Yeah.
down?
Yeah, FASCO is an acronym I came up with over the years because as I was giving some presentations, I would use these words individually. And one day I just thought they all pretty much mean the same thing. And what I'm talking about is, so I created, okay, FASCO. What does it stand for? Failures, adversities, setbacks, challenges, and obstacles. And I just
Ah,
felt, however you want to phrase that, to me, they all mean the same thing. It's when something unexpected happens that's preventing you from achieving a goal, something's blocking you, you experience a letdown,
right.
a difficulty, it's really just something testing you to see how bad you really want that goal. And I felt that my life, my journey I've dealt with that over and over, but I developed a habit of conquering FASCO. And that's really what I'm trying to impress upon people, that in those moments, they're not the Great Wall of China. They're just
Right.
speed bumps. You just got to figure out how to strategize yourself and put in the efforts to be able to conquer them.
Right, it's life.
Yeah, isn't
Everybody,
it?
it's life, and that's kind of what the podcast is about. It is about resilience. You are a good example of that, a living example of being resilient and making it all those years to the NFL, and then now you're in the professional speaking world, and there's obstacles is there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's really neat though, Bridget, is that it's not even really about football. It's not really about sports. It's just
Right.
more that that's my experience. So I'm pulling those lessons, those experiences, and making them relatable to anyone, whether it's the business world, whether that someone has personal goals, family goals, whatever the goals are. I'm just trying to show them that the strategies they work if you apply them and if you know how to apply them.
Right. And everybody's, like you said, situation is different. And you're taking what you learned and how others can apply them in their life based on what they want to do. The um the best-selling author book you're talking about, we mentioned the one opportunity knocks. Are you gonna knock? Excuse me. You're gonna write another book?
Good
Uh,
question. I actually am. I definitely plan to. Writing your first book is kind of like, okay, you get the first one done, and then you're itching to write a second one because you learn so much from the first experience. But I think as a speaker, as a trainer, I've evolved and I have more content that's coming out. And as you can probably tell, I'm very passionate about the whole Fasco, being the underdog. I think all of that kind of relates. And so this next book is really going to target that message because again, I think you even said this, everybody has felt like, they've had those moments in life. Maybe they felt like an underdog, their back is against the wall. And if I could just empower people and say, hey, it doesn't matter what it is, you can conquer it. But here's what I did. And let me show you how this could possibly work for you.
right. And some steps that they can take. It's like is it a system you're trying to maybe create?
Yeah, we're kind of creating that formula because I think it's very important that even when you share your experiences, you got to what is the action steps you want them to
Right.
take, and
Right.
that I think that is very important. So we're processing that, we're putting that all together. I actually have an outline put
Oh,
together, so we kind of have a general idea where the direction we're going to go in.
well, I think that's really good that a book also gives you even more credibility because, as you know, it's really hard to write a book and you have to motivate yourself to continue doing that. And a lot of people want to write a book, but then they don't.
Right.
You have any advice for those that are listening? They want to write a book. What
Oh,
motivates you?
absolutely.
Yeah.
The best thing I did when I wrote this book was I got a mentor. I got
Ah.
a mentor
Huh?
who had already written multiple books and that could guide me and mentor me through the process. Because, like you said, a lot of people want to write a book. I didn't know where to start. But when you have a mentor, someone who's already been there, done that, he could tell me exactly here's step one, here's step two, here's step three. And that was probably the best decision I made because his guidance allowed me to finish the book. And then, of course, be more excited about writing a second book. So that's the thing I would say. That I would say, if you want to write a book, get a mentor, find someone who can direct you along the way.
That's really good advice because a lot of people think they have to do everything on their own, and it doesn't work that way. I've been more successful when I have partnered or, like you say, get a mentor or a coach to help me because I have sometimes like a not now, but fraud syndrome. You know what I'm saying? You have these big dreams, but then you still need to be coached and motivated along
Yeah.
the way. And I
Yeah.
think people don't know. I think you and I are about the same age, and we're mid 50s, right? And I think
Mhm.
it's a good time for us to share our experiences, to lessons learned in life, and and that's what you're doing, applying that.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting that to me, I'm pretty confident, but at the same time, you boosted my confidence, agreeing to be on my podcast. It's good, and you referred to me by Angie Gallagher. But I think it's just, I've always been one of those dreamers a little bit, but then you have to set down goals and motivations to get there. And so with your next book, I was also thinking, could you possibly make a lot of people doing courses out of their books too? Is that something you've considered?
Yeah, I've considered that even with this book and even with my speaking, I've had I've had quite a few requests to do something like that. I just have not done it. I have not or I haven't planned it out and really executed it. And I'm a little hesitant because right now I'm so busy with my businesses that I'm like, can I really add this third
Right,
element? You
right.
know, but it's something, Bridget, I really want to, because you can't be everywhere for everyone. And if I could create something that, is online that anyone can tap into and get that information when they can, that would be ideal. So it's always in the back of the mind, like, okay, you can always do this when you're ready.
Right, because some people would rather hear you, you can like talk about it and see you rather than actually
Yeah,
read it, right? So
yeah,
you have the content there, it's just
yeah.
making time and scheduling that. That's kind of what my thought is.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, this is something. It's funny you asked this question. I'm actually testing something out. I shot 31-minute videos, and I call it your daily miss.
Oh, cool.
Motivational, inspirational success tips. And I'm thinking about testing that out and just creating a free 30 days of motivation from
Oh,
JJ.
perfect.
So that's something I actually have shot all the videos, and I'm going to set it up, and it'll be free, but it'll at least give me an opportunity way to test some content, but also continue to motivate and inspire people from day to day or when they want that information.
That's really cool. Say you're already doing it, and
Yeah.
you're comfortable, obviously, speaking in front of people and in front of the camera, and that helps a lot. And it does, like you said, test out the content if anybody really actually wants to listen to it or read it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
That's what's great about social media. I'm always testing content. If you watch me on LinkedIn, I am always
I
testing
saw
content.
your thing this morning about you mentioned underdog. I'm like, oh, I've got to bring that up today
Yeah.
in the podcast. It
Yeah.
is always right, and in tech is constantly changing, and that's kind of why I get my son sometimes to fill me in on things. I'm like, good gracious, I can only. But
Yeah.
that's the downside of tech. There's so much; it's constantly changing. But I'm always open to learning, and I think it's good for your brain.
Yeah.
And I think to understand and see different perspectives, like your perspective, is very important.
Mhm.
And like mine is too to certain people, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think that's so important to just be open to that. You'd mentioned you're an entrepreneur, you have businesses. I was curious, what business are you involved in?
Yeah, I've over the years, and when I retired from the NFL, that was a huge focus to become an entrepreneur and transition to life after football. And I used to own a couple of different medical companies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got involved. I connected with some doctors, and I had two medical companies. One was a durable medical equipment, and I owned a physical therapy clinic and clinics in Kansas City. And then I was part owner of a fitness equipment company in Atlanta. So for
Huh?
like 10, 11, 12 years, I did that. And then I transitioned into direct sales. I have an online wellness business I do with a company called Isogenics. It's all online. But I transitioned from the kind of the structure, brick and mortar to home online because everything was moving online. And
Yes.
yeah,
It's COVID.
so especially now.
Right.
so so between my online wellness business and my speaking business, it's like um, it's keeping me busy, and it's nice, like you said, because with COVID, everyone now is isolated. Well, this is what I've always done. I work from my room, my office. I'm now doing virtual speaking from this position here,
Right.
presenting to corporate. The only difference is I'm standing up,
Right.
but
I got you.
but adapting has been for all of us has been key with the uncertainty we've been dealing with the last year. So
Right. I think that's what life's all about too. We have to learn how to adapt. And
yep.
that's how you move forward, because there's always going to be something changing. And we just was like, oh, ultra sped up last year. None of us expected that. And that's one of the reasons I started sharing like videos, the
Yeah.
podcast, because the people, they just like seeing people's faces and not just
Yeah.
hearing the voices, you know.
Yeah.
And it's uh, it's just amazing the environment that we're in, but I see it as a good thing. And you mentioned the wellness thing. I've dabbled in wellness too.
Mhm.
Um, I got a health coach certification.
Nice.
How many years ago? I did it because I had some health issues, and it
Mhm.
helped me heal. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I believe in integrative, is that what you call it? Integrative health? I can't think of the proper term, but it's a mix of the health and wellness and actual medical help. But it helped me and other people. And that's how I started blogging. That's kind of how I got into all this stuff. I started doing all that. People like that. And then, but I don't have, I didn't have the, like you said, it was just too much to do. I was doing
Yeah.
speaking on that, but then that went away,
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
COVID. And then I thought that's why I thought to talk to more people about experiences they've had. And that your story is a really great story and a very success story, but you still had a lot of failures and
Yeah.
obstacles to get you where you're at. And I think it's just being a good role model to show people what you can achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you make a really good point, especially about adapting. Because many people struggle with that. They struggle with change. And obviously, we've dealt with change in the last year. And it's one of the things I learned through athletics that I've been able to use during this period. Because in athletics, like for instance, I'm a football player. I might get a play from, I play with Joe Montana. You probably heard
Right.
of him. Yeah, I played with
Right.
him
I've
for
heard
20
him.
years. Yeah. So Joe would give me the play and we would get ready to run it. And then we would have a live color where Joe had the freedom to change the play. He'd say black. That means he's going to change the play. So Joe changes the play. And when he does it, I have that many seconds to process the information, make a decision, and then commit to it. So I've taken that 3-step process into life after football, like when COVID hit. All my live speaking events got canceled. No, all 20 plus whatever. And I was like, okay, process the information. Well, companies are going virtual. Make a decision. Do you want to be a virtual presenter, present in your office? Commit to it. Get a new camera, paint my walls, get lighting, practice presenting into a camera with no audience. And then I just went on my way. And I've been trying to impress about people, no matter what the situation is, you got to go through this process. And once you make that decision, you have to commit to it.
I love that. I mean, it's really, a really good example. And I really truly think I wrote about this before about being involved with the team in sports. I think it helps you make decisions, and because I've learned you can't do everything by yourself, even
Right.
though, and I've it's just I was involved in sports, nothing at your level, but
Yeah.
more running, running and gymnastics and all that. I'm paying for that now. I got like arthritis. The part of it is my age too, but it's I've learned a lot just being around other people and just seeing what they're doing, and you've got to adapt, and that's just how
Yeah.
life is. And people, I think they hurt themselves by not finding a way to move forward. I don't have a specific example to share, but I've seen it that people are not happy.
Yep.
And every day I'm pretty positive, but every day there's like, but I've learned to get through it, like these
Right.
obstacles that you mentioned. And
Yeah.
I think it's really good that you were able to, excuse me, process being virtual, because I don't
Yeah.
know, I think a lot of speakers probably gave up.
Yeah, they did. A lot of them did give up. And it was like, speakers either went this way, they gave up, or they adapted. And
Mm-hmm.
and it's different. You're presenting because you're used to presenting to an audience where you feed off of the audience.
Their
You're getting
energy.
that, yeah, you're getting that feedback. If you're connecting to now presenting in a room by yourself, you're cracking jokes. You can't, you're giving, you don't know, but you just you have to trust your content. You got to trust your preparation. You got to trust your experience. And so far, I think it's gone pretty well. And I tell you what, I actually really love it because I don't have to travel.
Right. I was gonna say that you don't have to travel.
I just put my clothes on. I walk downstairs to my office and go to work. So yeah.
Yeah, it is amazing. Like the travel industry, they're gonna have to they'll figure it out too, right?
Yeah.
That they're affected a lot by this. But I mean, I did one or two speaking things in 2020, but
Mhm.
nothing like I did before. But then I've been focusing a lot on the podcast and trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing, right,
Right.
moving forward. But people are just really helpful, and just talking to you
Yeah.
is really helpful. And I think that what you're doing is really good. And what do you, I guess, since you played in sports, how do you think all this stuff is going to affect sports?
Yeah.
That,
It's already affecting sports,
yeah,
and
in a bad way. Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's important for kids. That's just me. I
yeah.
think the sports that were heard a lot were like hockey because that's inside,
Hmm.
and basketball too. I think the NBA did a really good job though when it first COVID
Oh, in
happened.
the bubble. Yeah.
But that's, people are like, what? But then it helped a lot. And I think in NHL they moved. I think they were having games in Canada
Yeah.
only in the beginning, and so I can only my son. I think he was in a travel hockey team, and I would be like, ugh, devastated if we
Yeah.
couldn't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, oh my gosh, investing in hockey is a lot of money. But it's still I'm connected to all the families that we met. I think
Right.
that's another thing I like about being involved with sports. But my son asked us, I'm saying, we didn't, to make sense,
Yeah.
telling me how to do this,
Right.
which was, I think was good. We tried different sports out. I don't know if you tried different sports other than just football, but
Hmm.
we had our sons try them out, and only one of my sons played football. Only one year. He was the fast guy, and then that's when he went and did track and field and all
Yeah.
that. But and the other one did hockey. But it's just amazing what we can learn, our
Hmm.
experiences in life,
Yeah.
and share. And I just hope and pray, and I have a positive attitude. Things are going to be better in
Yeah.
2021, and
Yeah.
and I also think you're in the health and wellness kind of thing. Taking care of our bodies is important to what we're dealing with,
Yeah. I
right?
couldn't agree more there. I think that, living a healthy lifestyle has been a priority for me.
Yes.
My relatives, and they didn't, the family line I was born into, they didn't really take care of themselves, and they didn't live as long. And I just early on, I just always decided I was going to take care of my health, because there's a lot of things in this world we cannot control, but we can control what we put in our body and what we do with our
Yes.
body. And that's kind of the mindset I have taken. And my mom is like 76, and she has always done well in that area. She was a aerobics instructor for years.
Oh
She's taken
wow.
care of her health. She's out now riding her bike, walking, and she's set a really good example. And I wanted to make sure I did that for my children and the next generation too.
Right, it is important. It's something you can control, is what you put in your body and what your
Mhm.
environment is. And
Yep.
sometimes you can control your environment.
Yeah.
I mean, most times you can.
Hmm.
But all right, I had some really good role models too. My mom was married multiple times, but the father, I'm a military brat, so
Hmm.
that was a different kind of environment, right?
Right.
So, but the father that raised me, her second husband, he was a marathon runner, and that's, I think, why I got obsessed with running.
Wow.
I didn't
Wow.
know I was good at it. I don't run marathons,
Right.
but I was the fast middle distance runner,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that I was good at it
Mm.
until that role model, and he was
Yeah.
really into that. And my my mom
That's
is pretty
cool.
good about exercising too, right?
That's good.
And it helps. And I think my mother is a French background, so I ate different in the South. I didn't eat like I kind of stood out too. I don't
Yeah.
know if you ever, I don't know, you grew up in Oregon, right?
Right.
So their diet is probably different than the South. So
Hmm.
I would bring lunch to school and it would be different than
Yeah.
everybody else's. That's okay. But I stood out because of that too. But
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Standing out is fine, accepted. And I think that's probably why I felt like I had imposter syndrome sometimes.
Mm.
I'm just blabbing here, but I think it's being a good role model and what you're doing, taking care of your body is what you control. You've
Yeah.
got failures and adversities you deal with in life. You just got to pause, right?
Yeah.
And think how you're going to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you said something that's really important in terms of being positive. And I hope that people that are listening, it's kind of one of the advices I always give, is that you got to have a positive mindset, And I had a mentor when I was young. His name was Von Ray Johnson. I was 15, 16, and he would always say to me, Bridget, after our workout, he'd say, stay positive. stay positive. And I was like, why is he always saying that? And then I understood, because I was this little guy and I was always trying to prove myself, and everyone said I was too small. And he was always mentally trying to get me in the right frame of mind. And I never forgot that. To this day, I always encourage everyone, because positive people, they see the bright side of everything, and they don't get rattled by adversities and
Right.
life when they throw you these curveballs. They wake up and they're like, hey, it's a new day. Let's go. What can I do? And that's what
It's
I would love to see more people
right.
do.
We need more
Right?
of that, and right, and just to be the example and not just say it, right? You
Yeah.
actually have to show. And people made fun of me sometimes because I was so positive. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, whatever. That's kind of how I was. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. But anyway, I do appreciate your time. I mean, I know you've got a lot of stuff on your plate, even though it is virtual, you still have a lot of stuff on your plate. So what is the best place that people can learn more about you?
I would encourage them, go to my website, jjbirden.com. That's sort of the hub. You can obviously learn about my speaking. I have a motivational monthly newsletter called the Birden Report. I usually release something motivational, and then you can access me through the website to all the social media platforms.
Okay.
Very active under the name JJ Birden. So yeah, just connect with me. Love to have some interaction and see if I can help people achieve their goals.
I think it's great. And what I'll do in the summary of the description of this, I'll have the link for everybody.
Yes.
JJ Birden. And then again, I appreciate your time. You're very inspirational and motivational. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too, Bridget. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And you have a great day too. And stay positive.
Yeah, stay positive, everybody. All right, bye.